What if generational wealth wasn't built by hustle alone, but through intentional leadership and financial clarity? So, welcome back to Voice of Impact, where we explore the conversations shaping how leaders build sustainable success, freedom, and long term impact. So today's conversation is one every entrepreneur, founder, and visionary needs because no matter how strong your vision is, without financial clarity, it becomes difficult to scale sustainably, right? So we've all been there and then we have learned our lessons. So I'm excited to welcome Dalila, SA CFO. So she's the founder and CFO of LUMI Accounting and Financial Services, a firm rooted in the belief that financial empowerment is one of the greatest tools for creating balance, fulfillment, and lasting success. But nearly 2 decades of experience in finance and accounting, Dalila helps entrepreneurs move from financial overwhelm into clarity, confidence, and strategic growth. But her work goes far beyond spreadsheets and bookkeeping, right? That's what we kind of know, but we're going to go a little bit deeper. She helps business owners understand the story their numbers are telling and use that insight to make intentional decisions that support both business expansion and personal freedom. So, what makes this conversation especially aligned is what we both believe in, right? So, wealth is actually built through proper decisions and not just income, right? Because we think wealth is income, but not really necessarily. Entrepreneurs deserve freedom and not constant financial stress. And legacy is created through aligned leadership and stewardship, right? So Dalila's approach blends that strategic financial expertise with the grounded human centered understanding of what entrepreneurs truly need to thrive here. So, in this episode, we'll explore how leaders can break income ceilings, strengthen financial confidence, and build businesses designed for long term wealth and stability. So excited to have you on the show, Dalila.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here and have this conversation about accounting and finance, which is what I love.
Mhm. Amazing. And this is a
Mhm.
very important conversation to have. I know we were talking offline about redefining money because we're used to knowing that, hustling, right, is the way to go. But this is not this is a conversation where I feel like it's the opposite. So let's
Mhm.
dive in. So tell us about your journey into finance and accounting. Like what early experiences shaped your commitment to helping these business owners financially transform their companies in a more sustainable.
I always knew when I was younger, at age 16, what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted a career in finance and accounting. It's always been my passion because problem solving and helping others is always something that I want to do. So I started in accounting and I started in finance, got my undergrad in finance. Then I decided I wanted to deepen the understanding of not just finance, but accounting and how they work together to create generational wealth. So then I decided to do a master's in accounting, got my master's. And from there on, every year I add a certification here and there and just keep learning. That's where my passion began. Then I went into corporate, I was a controller and realized that I wanted a little bit more. I wanted to create freedom just for not just for me, but for others and for my family, and grow and not have a ceiling. So that's where my journey began.
Wow, wow. I mean, that's like really inspiring because I can relate with the whole accounting and finance a bit because I actually studied economics as an undergrad. So I took accounting classes and all of that. And yeah, like to your point, I just didn't even know anything. I just thought, like, oh, this is accounting, this is income, this is how you get money. And I come from a very like woman of color, traditional household. And I had no idea this could be related to true wealth and legacy building. So I'm really glad that you had that deeper understanding within yourself that, hey, there's like a bigger purpose, there's a bigger picture with this. Right. And not just, and with the certifications, we're so focused on the minuscule tasks and like, hey, let's go to college, let's do masters. But we were never taught like why? Like, why are we doing this in the first place? And it's nice that now you're teaching other entrepreneurs like the real definition because this is very important ahead of time, especially students who are college grads. They're just like, the next step is go to an actual corporate job, but they don't even know why, right? So going into storytelling. So what stories in your early career illustrated some beliefs about money that you had? I know we talked about conditioning and I was saying how I had some conditioning with my family that this is how money's supposed to be, this is how you're supposed to earn income. But what are some beliefs that you had to unlearn in order to that lead differently and help the others right
I think for me was that financial success and integrity can go hand in hand, right? It doesn't have to be separated. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons that I learned in corporate. I got to see different angles that I didn't quite agree. And I remember when I was going to college and in my classes learning of how the books can be manipulated, right? And I'm like, how can they be manipulated? You know what I mean? And I never really understood it until I went into corporate and kind of got to see a different way of doing things. And I realized success needs, for me, specifically, needs to go hand in hand with integrity and doing right by others. And when you do right by others, you will feel the purpose, right? You want that
now?
purpose to kind of grow and build. And I think for me, that was key. And it made me realize that I needed to unlearn that. And in order for me to be able to do that, I wanted to build something of my own where I could unlearn that and teach those habits.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's yeah, and I could agree with the textbook as you were talking, and I was just like, there's something in the textbook that tells you that you should do it this way, and I'm like, real life is different, and I
Yeah.
didn't even know what it meant, and even my parents, right? It comes from family, it comes from people, childhood, schools, and I was like, what is wealth? Like, I don't know, like, I'm doing whatever my parents told me or the book told me to do, and
Mhm.
yeah, I learned that, yes, it does go in hand with integrity. That is very true, and purpose-driven wealth is very different. It really starts with your mission and deeply serving, and then the more you serve, that wealth increases.
Correct.
I was always taught to like first chase after money, right? Like just focus on that. Even till now, it's like corporate world. We not go back to that. You can easily work for a big company and you'll get that 300K. But at the end of the day, is that my purpose? Is that gonna be happy for my soul? Right. So
Mhm.
it's obviously not, right? This is what I'm meant to do. And having that different definition of wealth and not just for you, Dalila. I think it's a huge different definition of success and money and generational wealth and financial independence, right? For everyone. What does it mean? Financial freedom, especially for women these days. And I still see because my mom grew up in a place where she wasn't, I didn't have that financial independence. And that was different for me to be a role model for the next generation. So love how you talked about that. And that is very, very important because these are things are not weird. We don't talk about. We're like just like used to just following the crowd and the trends.
Yeah.
But
We
if
don't learn
someone
that at school.
yeah, and if an entrepreneur wants if they're, like, just starting a business, because I learned this is my 4th year in, and if someone and I just wasted so many years. I don't wanna say wasted, but I've grown a lot, but
Yeah.
I had to think, like, I had to really work hard, and that was my belief, is to work so hard,
Mhm.
hustle and grind to get that client or the money and chase after it, and that's, "Oh, I'm successful," but that never worked for me, so it was now I'm actually changed my business model. In a sense, I'm building more of a community, a movement where I deeply serve, like, I'm very committed to my purpose, and that's what legacy
Right.
is, right? And I
Mhm.
know we're gonna get into that legacy piece a little bit later.
Exactly.
And I see that you have a successful firm. You now lead a team of 7, which is amazing. Congrats. And looking into, you talked about your values, right? Integrity, which I love because I'm a value-led entrepreneur myself. So what personal values and vision guided you, apart from integrity, what are the other ones that guided you to build this team and scale your offerings?
For me was transparency, integrity, like you said, number one, transparency, a genuine care for my clients, what their goals are. One of the things I think that differentiates me is I want to know what my clients' goals are, right? And then help them achieve those goals because when they see a shift, that's when they value the partnership, right? Because as an accountant, as a CFO, there is a partnership here. So I want to gain them trust and I want to help them accomplish their goals. That's kind of like the biggest thing for me, building the team. And we're all have different skills that allow us to serve the different clients that we serve because we have different engagements, right? A small business owner is not going to have the need as a medium-sized business owner, or the industries can be slightly different. So we all have different needs, and having the right team, it's game changer.
Yeah, absolutely. I just love what you said about partnership. That's like such a key thing because I worked in businesses recently and then in general where sometimes it's kind of like that hierarchical kind of like business model. But when you said partnership, that's like super important. I love how you really treat your team as like an equal. Like you said, looking at their strengths. What are their goals? Your first of all, your clients, right? What are their goals? And I love how you said people truly value a partnership when they have a transformation. That's the key thing here is, are they
Transformation.
actually yeah, are they actually transforming? Are they inspired to be challenged and to grow? And we were talking about growing right before we got on the podcast. It's really about, are they, unlearning these beliefs like we're talking about here? Are they actually actively looking at, how do I really shift this mindset? How do I shift this success? How do I shift the way I operate that's different from everyone else? But it actually gets me in a more, a business that's more sustainable, right? So thinking differently, operating differently, leading differently. And I love how you do that for your clients because, like I said, I always keep repeating this. It's so important because I wasn't educated on this. And even to now, like I'm still learning from people like you and other people out there, other leaders out there. And I love the team. I talked about transparency. Absolutely. You want to be very direct and real and raw with your team and knowing their zone of genius. I currently had one with my own team, my small team that I have. And I'm like, yeah, like let them know what they need. If they need the rest, let them have it. So one of my team members, she was like, hey, Vina, I can't do something because I have Eid coming up. And I was like, of course, no worries. Take care of yourself. Have fun. So knowing what they need, what they want, they're here to add value to your life. So and creating, fostering that culture within your business. It all starts from, as we mentioned, when you have a purpose driven business and a value led business, things just flow. That wealth, that money flows to you because they value you more, your presence more, your energy, rather than the other way around, right? So it starts from the
Right.
foundation and your vision. So, and that's what's key to me. Sometimes, we think it's like for strategy and we have to do all of this, getting financial clarity, which isn't important, but like some people go into it too much without looking at the bigger picture. So, having the balance of the two is very important.
I
For
agree.
scaling, right? We're talking about scaling. And I mean, even though you and I were kind of a few years into business, I do want to educate people who are beginners because lately I've been talking to entrepreneurs who are just starting and they're curious. They're like open, like, how about business model would work for me? I don't want to chase. I don't want to hustle, like I want to learn it the right way. And I won't say the right way, it's more aligned way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these conversations are important to have earlier on. So I
Correct.
appreciate you for, sharing your insights. Amazing. So going into cash flow, so a little bit more deeper. So I know a cash flow consistently, like every single month, is a top concern for many clients or people that I hear. So, what reoccurring structural or mindset issues do you see that can create the chronic cash flow instability? How would you solve?
It would be poor forecasting, right? Poor pricing strategies, delay financial reviews are super important. So understanding that and fixing those, right? You need to forecast what's coming in and what's leaving the business, understanding if you're profitable and not delaying financial reviews, right? Because we can't change if we review the financials every 3 to 6 months, we can't go back and change those actions, right? We can only improve them. But if we're looking at financials from month to month, then we know what we can fix, right? If we didn't like the outcome of an action we took, we can now fix it. So that's important. And cash flow, it's important for every business, right? So understanding what needs to be fixed is super important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, knowing ahead of time, the forecasting is very key. I love what you said because once you do it, you can't go back at it. So
Mhm.
knowing, like having a good software for it and really understanding, like even looking into, and I tell also my clients, like look into it like 6 months from now. And some people wait, like, no, I'll look at it later, I'll figure it out. And then they're like, oh my God, the cash flow is just not working and now my business is kind of failing and I'm like, yes, it's really important for every entrepreneur. So I want to make a difference between a coach and an entrepreneur. because I'm a
Mhm.
coach and I see a lot of coaches who are also entrepreneurs. Those are two different things. You can be an
Right.
amazing coach, but you could be an okay entrepreneur. And I keep telling this that coach, yes, we have that. What I say for in our feminine energy, I would say we want to be collaborative, we want to be nice and empathetic and friendly. But as soon as you own a business and you're an entrepreneur, business owner, you got to have your LLC set up, making sure you pay those dues and registration on time because that might affect your cash flow. Looking at it from like 1 year forecasting, looking at Q1, Q2,
Mhm.
Q3. So really having those spreadsheets or software right in place, or at least having those things in mind and just kind of tracking it is those
Allows you to
KPIs.
plan and
Yeah.
execute, right? Execute
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, exactly. And those are two different things because I know a lot of entrepreneurs who could be great in coaching when it comes to like structure and systems and KPIs and like you said, operational execution. Some people struggle with that. It's like one or the other. We want to make sure we're practicing and growing in both aspects to thrive and have a scalable business, right?
Correct.
And then it's easier to scale. So understanding what are those types of business models. So I'll go into that in a minute. So I feel like having those things that people talk about is because I know I struggled with, sufficient cash flow or consistently in my first 2 years. And I wasn't like, oh, this is how it's supposed to work.
Um,
They were just like, go with the flow. I didn't have systems in place, right? And that was the main
no
challenge.
foundation.
Yeah, and I do wanna talk, like, about that because people think immediately it's the website, and rather than looking at the website, because that's what my mentor said, like, "Have a website, have the copywriting ready to go, have the offer," and I'm like, "Yes, of course, but also have the system set first, whether
Correct.
that's operational or back end, and now there's AI, there's a lot of CRMs. I currently use a CRM, which is very useful. Have it in the beginning, right? Not like 2, 3 years in, because that really, and that was a huge learning for me, learning curve. So amazing, yes. And in your terms, how would you measure success beyond profit? Like, what are the true outcomes that suggest a client's on the path to generational wealth and freedom rather than stability? Because there are different stages of financial wealth, right? There's the stability part, and then there's the financial independence and freedom. So, for different stages, how would you measure that success?
So for me, it comes down to understanding what the client wants and where do they see themselves in a set period of time, right? Because we not all of the business owners have the same goal, right? Some of
Yeah.
them just want to have a solid business where they make an amount of income, while others want to build a big business and sell it. So understanding where they want to go is super important in helping them achieve that goal. I Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be the
Yeah.
answer for me.
I do agree. I think it depends on the type of business, but if I were to we were talking about like purpose driven, right, businesses.
Mhm.
So if you're a purpose driven business and who's just starting out, and I know we're stuck on financial stability, we come from a very scarcity mindset, scarcity energy. Like, I need the money, let me hustle. But
Mhm.
rather than doing it that way, and we talked about, leading from our purpose, leading from our why, leading from our values, because there's different types of entrepreneurs. Like you said, there's an entrepreneur who's like, I just want a business, I just want income. And there's entrepreneurs like us who are more mission driven, who are purpose driven, and it's a different way of operating. So, what would the outcomes look like? So, how would you, if you were to kind of show or share the first three shifts or a business model for a purpose driven entrepreneur, like the difference between the two, what would that look like? Because, for example, for me, I thought it was just typical, low tier offering, right? So maybe that was like $100, $200. And I'm talking about 1 year, like my first year. And that didn't get me to scale, or I struggled to even get like a couple of clients. And then I had to pivot to like one-on-one coaching or higher ticket, and I could just get like 4 clients. And that's how I actually scaled a little more quickly into my 2, 3 years. And now into my fourth year, I'm actually building a business model where you have different revenue streams. So you can have a low ticket, a mid ticket, a high ticket, a community, right? So in the beginning, what would you say would be the best model for them to scale, or what would those like KPIs that you could measure that you
So
would
for me,
suggest?
be, and I was taking notes while you were talking as I was thinking about the answers. It would be, what do you love doing, right? And who do you want to serve? Because they
Yeah.
go hand in hand, right? And then that's going to help you with the clients that you want to work with, that type of services you want to offer, and then the strengths that you have in order to offer those services. When I started building my business, I wanted to do bookkeeping, right? And bookkeeping felt so easy. I was like, this is going to be so easy. I'm in love with it. And then I realized it was too easy. I wanted to help in so many other ways. I realized that one of the biggest not problems, but one of the biggest expenses for business owners is tax, right? And if
Yeah.
you're in a state like California or in a state like Connecticut, you have high state taxes, and then you have to deal with the IRS, right?
Right.
Which the tax can be very high. And so, who do I want to help, and what skills do I have to help those clients, right? And who do I want to work with? What are the skills that we need to have in order to be able to deliver those services? I think for me, that was important. And that's when I realized I have so many more skills that can help clients so much more. And I was solving my own problems, right? As your income increases, then your tax liability increases. So as I was proactively tax planning and wealth planning and incorporating all of those important things for a business owner, I realized there were many other business owners that were in the same path trying to achieve the same goals, right? So, kind of aligning the skills that I have with the needs of the clients and the type of clients I want to work with was for me super important in understanding the services that I wanted to deliver and who I wanted to work with and who I wanted to help.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the first thing is right. And I love how you said it's the who and really getting super clear on your ideal audience is
Yeah.
the most important piece. And everyone kept telling me that and knowing who you truly help, what is the outcome of it? What is the real transformation? And going into that like the details, right? But also the bigger picture is but why though? Why do you want to help this? Why do you want to help these type of audiences and go back into your why? So really tying the vision with the details and the outcomes of the client and their needs of the client, right, is very important. I loved how you said skills because knowing your strengths and your zone of genius really helps you to make the proper impact and knowing like what are those income generating activities because that's a mistake that I made as well. I did everything at once.
I think we all do it.
I was like burnt out. And now I was like, what is my zone of genius? Right. And this is something that I teach where in order for me to focus on the income generating activities, I need to work with something that's in my zone of genius, my strength, which is speaking and connection. And I was doing more lead generation and DMs, and it was just not my cup of tea. So I hired two people right now saying, like, hey, I'll delegate this to you. It's not my zone of genius. And I will be doing the connection piece and building and stuff. So a lot of entrepreneurs are more visionary, but not really great at execution. So if you're not great at it, delegate it. Or if it's the vice versa, maybe you're good at executing, or maybe you're a founder. Maybe try to get a growth partner to look at the vision and help you with ideas, right? So I love how you talked about the strengths. It's very key. And then also growing your skills. From whatever I started first year till fourth year now, you know how much I've learned skills wise? It's been tremendous, right? And like
Yeah.
I said, I'm a host right now. I used to be super shy. Like people would see me and now I'm a host, I'm speaking, right? It just comes under practice. And those
Yes.
are the KPIs. And a lot of people think they're numbers when you think about KPIs, but it's really even the small things, like you said, just knowing what you're offering, knowing your who, your why,
Mhm.
and your what, like what's your marketing that aligns with you and don't follow other marketing. The tax thing is a huge thing for self-employed people and
Uh-huh.
knowing how to do it properly and how to have the self-assistant. I mean, there are people there, but I actually learn it on my own. I don't get help on purpose because that's how you know how to like really run a business is only if you learn it yourself how to like pay your own taxes. You're
Mhm.
like, "Oh my god, like that's a win for me," right? And you can actually help the next generation with their wealth management. So, love everything that you said, very important. key things to talk about. Amazing. Okay, so going into a little bit more of a bigger picture view. So, how I know we talked about it a bit, but just going a little deeper. So, how do you help clients reconcile the idea that money is bad or it's so hard? Or, for example, like I've earned 10K months, but I want to go to 40K months. I want to be a millionaire. And they put a cap on that ceiling, but in reality, entrepreneurs don't have that cap, right? You can just keep going. And how do you help the clients like unlearn that or go past those income ceilings so that they can be in abundance and they could be like, you know what, this is not so bad. I could get 50 to 60K months and create abundance and create legacy from a very like ease, right? Not from a hustle place, but from my ease in a sustainable scaling way.
I think it would come down to understanding that money is a tool. So you got to learn how to use it and use it wisely. And if you don't know how to use it, you don't understand how to use it, align yourself with someone that can help you, right? You have the vision because as a business owner, we all have the vision, right? I want to get from A to B, but you don't know how to get to B, right? So aligning yourself with the correct individual at the beginning could be a bookkeeper, right? When you're increasing your revenue could be a tax strategist, right? Because now you're going to pay the IRS, and let's use that big example of 37% that you could pay the IRS. So how can you shelter that 37%? What can you do? What tax strategies, right? And then when the tax strategies brings you these tax strategies, not solemnly say, okay, let's do it, let's analyze, right? What's the benefit of that tax strategy? What does tax strategy means? What are my responsibilities when I go into that tax strategy? And understanding that it's either you're going to send this money to the IRS or you're going to deploy it into a tax strategy that is going to generate wealth, right? Not just right now, but into the future. And then a fractional CFO would be helping you grow that business, generating additional revenues. What can you do in different areas of the business, right? To keep growing that business, scaling. So all of us need to understand that we don't all have all of the skills that are needed to run a business, but we can align ourselves with the right individuals and make a team to grow, because you can grow alone to a certain point, but beyond that, you're going to need that support. Like, for example, now I have a team of 7, right? I wouldn't be where I am today if I was just doing things on my own. And that's something that we have to keep in mind, right? Not to be so self-reliant and understand, okay, this is the skill that I have. I want to develop that skill. I want to be the best in this area. So then I have to bring someone else to help me in the other areas that I lack or I'm not interested in developing.
Exactly. Exactly. I love this. And yeah, exactly. Having like there's different people to help. And I know as women we struggle to ask for help, right? And that was
Yeah.
where I used to be. So just to ask for help or it was hard for me to delegate, honestly, because I had that boss babe, like I could do everything myself. So we have to go inward and understand why we are struggling to ask, why we want to be independent. So overcome those fears. I think that's the first step, I would say. And once you have that, what are the practical, tangible steps? Because abundance, it doesn't just come in if we do everything like ourselves, like Dalila says. We have to really collaborate and partner with others and whoever believes in our mission, vision, and values, and they just amplify the vision even more and help you with those steps, like having a fractional CFO. And it's very, very important that we have, like, yeah, the tax strategists and all of these things. So, and I think that's what's important, most important, because, like, that was actually my next question that you answered was how do you balance the vision with the execution, right? So, delegating and having other people on your team if possible beforehand and not after, like, oh my god, I've suddenly there's cash flows missing, right? So doing it in a proactive way.
For me,
Amazing.
vision becomes reality when it's connected to measurable goals. I'm always thinking, what's my goal? How can I get there, right?
Mhm.
So for me, that's so important. And again, they go hand in hand to
Yeah,
accomplish what we want to.
exactly, exactly.
Mm.
Yeah, so I just feel like of course we should have a goal in mind, but I do want to say we want to have a goal in mind but not like attached to the outcome. 'Cause
Correct.
I know we tend to come into the like, scarcity energy, like, "I need it," and then that stress happens, we start to hustle, so have a
Mhm.
goal, track it, but of course, go with the flow a bit more,
And
and
instead of,
understand.
you know,
Yeah.
it's not linear, right? Growth is not linear. Um,
Exactly, and it's going to and this has been a huge thing in my own life and in my own business right now, like, I just rebranded, like, I pivoted from career coaching, executive coaching, and I pivoted again, and now I'm doing business coaching. So, it's gonna change, it's not sometimes you feel like it's going in one way, like Dalila said, it's not linear. You have to be okay with iterating and refining, and your goal might change, you never know. So, I was at a point where I was like, 10K is my goal. But now I feel like the more I worked on my fears, I was like, I had money blocks, right? And I
mhm,
was like, maybe I can't do 50K. Like, that's impossible for me. And then I had to switch, overcome that fear. So as you're going from this is where you are to where you want to be, that goal, you have to first overcome that fears, right?
yeah,
And what's stopping you, what's blocking you in all aspects. And then in order to reach that, maybe shift the business model into a group offering. It's
yeah,
easier to scale or an ecosystem or one-on-one, but there's 4 a month, right? So also I wanted to explain different revenue streams. I thought
correct.
there was one way to earn revenue and wealth, and that was just like this one offering. And I
Mhm,
realized the universe kind of it was like, nope, I don't know when and how, but it gave me different ideas. So I do speaking engagements while I'm building my business. I've gotten a lot of good paid speaking. You could do other things, right? Affiliate marketing.
mhm,
There's so many ways you can earn wealth
correct.
simultaneously without burning yourself out. Evergreen content, webinars, right? So I do want to put that out there that generational wealth, financial freedom is what does that mean, right? Financial freedom is that, your business is running and you're getting cash flow, but you don't have to be there all the time, right?
Mhm,
Yes, you have a team that's helping you, but you can just be yourself, be somewhere else, and your business is running without you, right? And you have the time and energy to do what you love and be with your loved ones. And you have to see, like, it's like a top down. So start from like all the way 10 years and then make the measurable goals, is what I would say. Because I
mhm,
did it the other way and it never worked. So these are things that you will need to first define before you understand who you want to help is what is your vision? Why is it that vision? Why is it important to you? Where did this all come from? Right. So I come from like a poor family. So I was like, wealth is different for me. I'm completely redefining wealth in my family. Right. So
yes.
those are the first things. And that's how we lead to legacy, which is a bigger picture. Right. So,
Education is a huge part of that, right?
yeah,
Investing in yourself. For me, education has been the foundation of everything that I do. I always realize that, and when I keep learning, the more I know, the more I realize I don't know, the more I want to learn, the better skills I want to acquire, the more people I want to help, and the more people I want to help, the better I become, right? Because the more people I help, the more experience I gained. So it's kind of like a ripple effect into all of those.
exactly. Exactly. I'm learning from you, right? So a lot of people are still like understanding what a CFO does, a fractional CFO, what it's for. And especially with companies I worked for, actually, it's not my company currently, but the one I worked for, they're looking for like CMOs and CFOs. And, they were about like, I think 10, 20 years in, and this is my revenue and how we can have a partnership. And it's very different when, like you said, when you're different stages of business. So right now we could be, you could, whoever is listening, you could be in like your first couple of years. You can be like me 4 or 5 years in, or even 10, 20 years. But at the end of the day, don't lose sight of the bigger picture and then tie, of course, into your measurable outcomes, right? And knowing that wealth doesn't have to be like the way you think it is or your parents told you, your friends told you. I believe that the universe can give it to you in any form and you need to be open to that form and
Mhm.
open to a model that could change in any way or form, right? But it's in the best for us and our business, and it's aligned with our purpose, right? So, and that's very very important because I was pretty rigid, right? And these are just lessons which caused that instability of cash flow. And now I'm understanding that. Another thing I want to add is when we look at revenue streams and when it comes to marketing, we focus so much on the lead gen systems and automations. And now I'm actually using a referral based system. And it's like you said, the partnerships, it's the best, right? And I haven't even launched my like global movement, which is coming up next week. And I already got like so many referrals because it was just really building that. I was like leading from my values
Yeah.
first. And I was like, this is what I truly value. I value collaboration. I want to serve. I'm not worried about money right now, right? Even
Mhm.
though I had a goal in mind, the goal was 50K months right now. So I was not focused on that. My energy wasn't like, I need money. I need like a client right now.
Mhm.
So I was leading with that energy and I was like, I just want to serve. Let me just give some resources to women and have this podcast. And I've already gotten referrals. One person, she doesn't even know me. And we got on one call and she was like, Lena, I need to get you clients right now. And I was like, oh my goodness, right? Because it really came from that energy, that place of values
Wanting
and
to help.
purpose, right?
Mhm.
And that's what builds true wealth. And we don't need to chase after anything. But why didn't that client come in? Even next month, like that client's supposed to pay and I didn't pay, like, oh my God. Right. So if that wasn't aligned, the next one will be aligned because I've had clients who didn't pay on time. I've been through that route
There. Mhm.
and I was always like, "Well, am I not worth it?" And it came back to that place. But I realized it's really how we look at the definition of success and our why. It's not the same as corporate, right? We need to understand that corporate's a little different, and that's okay. But as entrepreneurs, everyone has a different definition. And we need
Mhm.
to get super clear on that, super clear on our business model, and get super clear on our financial decisions and habits. How do
Mhm.
you spend it? It's okay to invest in your values. I think when I had financial blocks, one of my coaches told me, she was like, "How do you feel if you invest in your values?" And I was like, "Oh, okay. Like invest in education." Like I love what you said. And I was like, I like investing in education and coaching programs. But my parents were like, no, like 6,000 for that, forget it. And I had a struggle. And then I was like, wait a minute though, like I value education, I value growing. This is important to me. So I went ahead and paid $6,000 for it. And now I'm here, right? This is where I am. I'm talking about wealth and legacy. So having those limiting beliefs can take you far and not having to have you capped at like just 10K or 20K. You can go as far as being a millionaire because everyone deserves
Exactly.
that. So this was a great conversation. And what's next for you, Dalila? Any new programs, initiatives?
For me, what's next is structuring the CFO services to better serve my clients and to deliver better results, right? Every time I work with a new client, I want to be able for them to see the change, right? Of when they started working with me to where they are now. So that's what we're working on, adding more clients that need that CFO guidance, that have real goals, right? And they don't know how to achieve them and don't have the right connections to get their way to get to where they want to go.
Mhm.
So for me this year has been building the right connections when it comes to bringing the right people for the different tax strategies, gas and oil, right? I need to have an expert for gas and oil strategies and someone that is reputable, that cares about the clients that they serve as well. Same thing for investing in real estate. I love real estate, right? It has gotten me to where I am and I have experienced it myself. So when I work with someone who brings a real estate tax strategy, one of the first things that I do is I understand where they come from, who they are, and what's their motive, right? If their motive is solely cash, then I
Yeah.
you got to be cautious, right? So we want to first serve, and then the rest is going to come. So it all applies to all of that for me.
Right. Amazing. Amazing. I love how you're just so focused and you know where your goal is and you're going after it. And I'm just very happy for you because it's very difficult, right? Like you start out with all of this different success, like conditioning of money, and then you're building your own thing, and now you're helping others in a team of 7. So I think that's
Mhm.
inspiring to me, right? Because I'm yet to have a big team. A lot of women who are, because I know that a lot of people, I've come from that place of we're still at the place of like, can I make this amount of income? Can I make this amount of money? And where do I even start? What is the financial plan? What is the business plan to scale? So the fact that you're teaching us and with your lessons and your insights, I appreciate you a lot. So thank
Yeah.
you so much for your presence and your insights today. So love to go into a fun rapid fire round. Okay, so quick answer. Let's see. Your dream vacation destination.
I would have to say Punta Cana.
Hello?
From there, and it was beautiful. I love summers. It's when I really become alive. So that would be it, Punta Cana.
Wow, I've never been there. I need to go now. Oh my
It's
goodness.
beautiful. You have to.
Yeah, that's on my bucket list next. Oh my
Okay.
goodness. Okay, so glad that you told me that. Okay, awesome.
Mhm.
Let's see. A song that matches your current season of life.
Song. I don't know if I can tell you a title because I'm the worst when it comes to titles for songs. But for me, everything I do is with God's guidance, right? So I would have to say "Fingerprints of God." It's one of my favorite and my kids' favorite song. So it would be that one.
Yeah.
God, it's in everything that I do.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
life, in the blessings that I have in my business, that I have in my family.
Yeah.
Fingerprints of God.
Amazing. I love that. Yes, likewise here. I mean, everything even now is the divine, right? It's
Yeah.
all a blessing. And the fact that we've connected and we're talking about this and we're impacting the next generation. So that's beautiful. I love how you said that. And amazing. Cool. And something people would be surprised to know about you.
Knew that my husband and I started doing, and then my sister and I and our friends. And I didn't think that I loved that going to concerts, and just because I'm very shy, kind of like you were saying at the beginning. Sometimes I can't believe that I spent so much time in meetings. Same thing here. Like I didn't think I was gonna love it as much as I do.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, I love concerts too. I don't go to much. I think as high achieving women, we're just so focused in our business.
Mhm.
And I was like, my friends keep telling me, like your inner child, like put it out there, have fun. And so I was like, I think concerts are amazing. And we're just
Because we love too much what we do, right? So we're like all about it.
yeah, exactly, and that's why we do rapid fire rounds. I talk to others and I'm like, "You like this too? Oh my god, I have similar music taste," and
Mhm.
then we get all into our, like, inner child, and it's fun, and because we forget to have these kind of moments, right? So,
Mhm.
I love that, that's great. I hope you get to go to a concert sometime soon, which is amazing, right? So, it's very
Mhm.
important to really take time for our loved ones and go
Yes.
somewhere and have fun with them, and that's why we have a team to take care of our business on the side, and awesome. So, this conversation was such a powerful reminder that wealth isn't just about earning more, but it's about leading with clarity, intention, and of course, partnership, right? Having the right people with you. So, I love how you reframed finance from like something that's intimidating, but really like deeply empowering. Because as I mentioned, it can be a little intimidating for a lot of people when they come
Mhm.
from those types of conditioning. But when you truly understand your numbers, it's not just profit. It's more than that. It's a bigger purpose and it creates freedom, stability, and like a long-term impact. So for everyone listening, like this is your reminder that financial clarity is not a restriction. It's expansion, where you can expand yourself if you have those right habits and you get the clarity ahead of time, like Dalila said. And it's really true power, right? You can be powerful. And it's very important for women to be financially independent, but in the right ways, not in a hustle way. And it's the
Mhm.
greatest forms of self leadership, right? So if this conversation resonated, share it with another entrepreneur, founder, or leader who's ready to build wealth more intentionally. Because I know a lot of us spend a lot and we try to figure out on what's going on, but really being more intentional about how you spend your money, why do you want it? If it's a different paradigm of leadership, that's okay. You might want to be the trailblazer, so have the courage to do that, right? That's what this is about.
Yeah, and always for me, it's so important to always think, where do I want to go, right? And kind of what you said, be intentional with what you do with your time, when you say yes, when you say no. Because sometimes we want to say yes to everything, but we have to be intentional with our time and what we're trying to accomplish and build and who we work with. So
Yeah,
understand that, you know what I mean? We want to work with people who have the skills that we lack so we can continue to grow.
exactly. Absolutely. And before we close, I'm incredibly excited to share that Sovereign Rise is launching soon. And the response has already been amazing, even before the official launch. So we're already seeing strong interest, aligned referrals coming in and reaching out to be part of what we're building, right? So it's really telling me that the space is needed. It's actually a curated movement and ecosystem where we're talking about legacy right now. It's really about that. That's my legacy. And I built a business model to scale that way, an ecosystem where we're actually building authentic relationships and expanding your visibility and collaborating. So without really hustling. So if you feel called to join, it's free for now. So, we're actually building this ecosystem together. And if you'd like to contribute, let me know if you're in a collaborator way, speaker way, and feel free to reach out through link. Until next time, lead intentionally, build sustainably, and keep creating impact that lasts for generations.
Thank you.